welcome back to the Skyline Segment 2 live stream. Unfortunately, if you remember, my battery was gonna die, but now I have everything from external battery, and I also yep, I'm also trying to shoot better this time. So
the next stop is Aloha Lagoon Drive Station. Doors will open on the right side. Abraham Makao Akam.
So the next stop will be Lagoon Drive. I'm going to give you finally a detailed tour. I was supposed to do it in the last stream, but now I can't. That yellow building was the one, if you remember, a plane crashed into there earlier. Thank goodness it didn't crash into the Skyline guide. If you haven't watched the first stream, you should try to watch it, because on the first stream I covered the Pearl Harbor and the airport stations and a little bit of Lagoon Drive, but this one will be, I'm going to do an in-depth tour of Lagoon Drive and
Please hold on. The next stop is Aloha
final
Lagoon
destination.
Drive
you haven't subscribed to Planet Transit, you should subscribe to Planet Transit, and you should look at my Instagram as well at Real Planet Transit 808. Now we're at Lagoon Drive. We'll give you a detailed tour.
Arriving at Aloha Lagoon Drive Station. Doors will open on the right side.
Yes. Welcome to Aloha Lagoon Drive. This station is in a pretty industrial area, essentially an airport industrial park. In fact, it's so close to the airport. Look at that. That's the runway right there. Yes. And we're about to see a plane look to be taking off. Or landing. We don't know. Yep. Oh, it's landing. Yep. That's literally one of the runways. Here's an actual hotel near Skyline station. If you think the hotel in Ho'opili going to be your first one, no, Pacific Marina Inn actually predated them by many decades. Yes, this was one of the first, skyline-oriented hotels so far. Yeah. Hopefully they might get a lot more usage. Don't also forget the airport hotel way down there too. But yeah, we're literally near the runway, and we're in a very industrial area because obviously we're near the airport. Of course, being on Skyline, you don't need to be me going on that traffic anymore. Yay! No more being one of those mini cars. Yeah, this is one of the big benefits of Skyline. So yeah, this is a very industrial area. But there's one thing that makes this station special that I'll show you soon. Look at the station design here. I really like this industrial sort of design. Kind of reminds me of the old Aloha Stadium. If you remember back in the day, before they had the green, steel beams, they used to look like this at one point, but it was actually due to the weathering steel. Of course, knowing that Hawaii, we're literally near the ocean, this is all painted. So I really like, how they did the industrial design over here. Yeah. Speaking, remember if I talked about the London Elizabeth line, kind of reminds me of that as well. Yeah. But I'll show you one thing that makes this station really special. That is its bus transfer hub. As you can see, the brand new W line is one of the buses that stop here. This used to be the 20. It's still sort of the 20, but just terminates at the airport, and they like to call it the W. So yeah, I really like the industrial design of Lagoon Drive. So yeah, in addition to this, there's also an express bus line called the U that starts from this station as well. This line is a full-on express bus going to UH Manoa, the largest university and the most important university in the state of Hawaii. Skyline is eventually going to extend to UH Manoa. If you want to know how it's going to, I have a video on that on the channel. You should watch it if you want to know more in depth. But just saying, at least this is sort of going to be going towards the right direction. The line does go on the H1 freeway, and it does have absolutely no stops from here. It does run on weekdays still, but still, all classes are pretty much on weekdays. You can see all the buses literally coming in. This is a major transfer hub. I'll show you one critique I have for this station. That is its bus amenities. At first, you might not even think this is a major bus stop because, look, there's only poles. I'm not kidding. Just so knowing how important these bus lines are, having stations with poles like this, I don't know, like they should have put shelters in here or maybe put seating for the bus. They have a lot of room here. Like they put grass fields or anything. But yet, this is it. Yeah. You see, there's really no shelters at all. Yeah. That is one of the stops right there. Look at the skyline going above us. And I want to show you something. So, yeah, speaking of the lack of shelters, yeah, it's kind of crazy that these. So, yeah, I want to show you. This is the U line right here. This is that express line I've been talking about. People have to wait along this area here. Knowing how much people there are, I think they should have used bendy buses for the U line. Yeah. They should have used bendy buses, I bet. Look at how much people are going to Yuchanoa. Hopefully they do this later, but they definitely need to use, like, you see that W line Waikiki? That's what the U line should have used. But yeah, this is the bus station. For all these major lines, of course you can think the Skyline station is like a big shelter, but they should have added some like seating or something here. They even have to like sort of add something there. There's a lot of room for a bus shelter. You see the W line here? I actually really like the graphics, how they put them onto the bus. I really like it. But yeah, look at this. I mean, technically this is a shelter, but they should have added something better. They did put nice graphics here. Real nice graphics. Like, like that. But they should have actually put like a LCD screen or something like that there, kind of like what they did in like Alapai Transit Center. Remember, they spent years building this, and I think they should have done it. I get it that eventually segment 3 is gonna open, and they're probably gonna do the LCDs later. But still, I think they should have done it on day one. And yeah, yeah. This is Lagoon Drive here, and also, in fact, fun fact: there's actually a TOD plan for Lagoon Drive, despite literally being in an industrial area. There is a real TOD, but it's mostly just sort of like an airport shops or anything. If you ever went to Portland's airport and there's like an IKEA and there's like a shopping center in there, and I think that's kind of like what they want to do here. But yeah, but yeah, they had a lot of room to sort of put shelters in here, but no, not even. Okay, look at the train right here. Look at that. Like those two. Yeah. Also, next to the station, there's K Lagoon Park. The K Lagoon Park entrance is through this way. K Lagoon Park is sort of an interesting, like, park where it's sort of like a beach next to Skylines. Actually, I think one of the first, public beaches near Skyline. I don't know if about swimming in it, but yeah. Also, the Kahauiki village, that's like a homeless, affordable house. You have to go through K Lagoon Park. Ironically, it's closer to the next stop, Middle Street, but there's like no bridge that spans between Nimitz Highway. You cannot even cross it, otherwise you're gonna walk a mile. You have to come through here or into K Lagoon Park to get to Kahauiki Village. This is how it looks like. The sidewalk just ends, and yeah, I mean, what is this? Yeah, it's near an airport, but they should have at least put sidewalks through here or something. Like, I mean, they're doing construction, but I think that is remains of the airport construction. But yeah, there is a kiss and ride here though. So if you're driving, but it's more like an airport cell phone lot, which is basically like a parking lot that, for taxis. Instead of like driving around waiting for it, they just stop at a parking lot. So yeah, there's a kiss and ride here. 10 minutes only. Don't you look at? Can't you just appreciate the industrial design of the station right there? There's also bike racks here, but it's not as good as like, say, Pearl Harbor, or yeah, where they actually have a real, bike lockers in the station compared to this. I think we'll see if there's any bike lockers in there, but so yeah. Hopefully for segment 3 they build one of more of those, like, in station bike storage, especially as that would be the much more useful stations for Skyline. If you ever went back here, you might think you can try to get to K Lagoon through this way. Unfortunately, you cannot, even though a lot of the site is all Skyline property. I don't know why, but it's kind of a shame they don't have an access there. But seeing how the main entrance is to pedestrians, I can definitely see why. We're gonna be going back on the train. Go back. Next stop we're gonna be covering is Middle Street. as a person who tends to regularly document segment tree construction, I definitely will see that station very useful for me. Because yes, I actually rode the 32 to Middle Street. It sucks, but just saying, I rode it. But now with this Skyline up, I don't need to ride it because it's so frequent. I don't need to ride a suburban bus through all the neighborhoods. I mean, that bus is still good, but still. I'll show you the runway right here. Look at that. Yeah. In fact, the station is so low. Normally, stations they would have a pedestrian walkway, to the other side. But unfortunately, this they had to make it really low, so they really couldn't do it. I'm just wondering if they use the beam structures, the plan for city center. They're gonna use the beam. They're gonna put girders in there. They're definitely thinner, and I bet that they could have built a passageway if they chose that way before. Also, Salt Lake is right there. Unfortunately, there's no feeder buses that go into Mapuna Puna in Salt Lake. It's kind of a shame because they should have just built a suburban bus from here to Tripler Hospital. It's literally right there. You got Mauna Loa, but I think it's because of Middle Street Station and all the buses going there. But it's a shame there's no bus between the airport and Salt Lake direct. Even like a green local, maybe the 32 or something. You have to go to Middle Street, which is gonna be our next stop. Here's one of the signs here. In fact, in all the stations and the trains, they never really updated it, but I think they'll eventually update it later on. Here's another station with those like steel railings. What do you think about these steel railings? Definitely see it's a lot cheaper to build and everything, but you have to definitely polish it a lot. I heard the city center they're gonna all black railings, but most likely, if they're trying to save up costs, they might do these railings. Maybe. Who knows? But definitely for sure, they might. I bet that when they do these, the canopy, essentially it's gonna be just like that. So I'm thinking they're gonna be personalized to each station, kind of like how this is different from um, airport, and this is different from Pearl Harbor. They have different sort of designs. I think they're gonna definitely do that in city center. Maybe we don't know yet, but we'll see. My bet is that city center is just gonna be bare, like this for their canopies. Actually, wondering what do you think about that when they're trying to just use the steel canopies instead of the fabric canopies for city center. Here comes our train. It's coming. I'm
Doors
gonna
are
be going the
closing.
other side
Please hold on.
because I want to show you the traffic.
The next stop is Kahawiki, Middle Street, Kaliki Transit. Side.
But yeah, if you ever looked at Salt Lake, it's kind of a shame they don't have like a local bus that goes between like the airport area and maybe Tripler. There's one bus, I think it's a Churro or something, that is like weekday only. They should have upgraded that too to extend it to the airport. So, okay, this is the very important. Look at this. Look at all that slow cars versus us in the Skyline. Look at us. Just passing by everybody with ease. Anybody doesn't like Skyline, you'd probably be in one of those cars and look speeding past you. Even people in the Lamborghinis, you cannot beat the Skyline. You'd probably still be following the traffic rules and be stuck in those cars. One of those.
Transit Center Station.
Look at
Doors will
this.
open on the left side.
Wow. We're above them. We don't need to be worrying about being with them. We're above everybody.
Arriving at Kahawiki, Middle Street, Kaliki Transit Center Station. Doors will open on the left side.
Welcome
Your attention,
to
please.
Kaliki Transit
The
Center, or
destination of
Middle
this
Street.
train has changed.
Welcome to Middle Street, Kaliki Transit Center. This station is supposed to serve this Kaliki Transit Center area. This is sort of like your bus transfer point if you're going throughout Kaliki in downtown Honolulu. And look at that, we got an electric bus there, baby. I really want to go on one of those electric buses, but unfortunately I can't. I know that they all go on the numbered routes. They will never go on like the W. They might go on like the U. Any bus that doesn't use bendy buses.
Please stand by for the track. Please hold on. The gates are preparing to close.
Welcome to Middle Street. I gotta show you something. So this station, other than that, it also serves a place, you probably already know. So this, you see that area there? That's where Skyline ends. With segment 3, it's supposed to extend all the way down to Civic Center. If you don't know where Civic Center is, it's no, if you ever heard about SALT, our Kaka'ako, Fisher Hawaii, Kaka'ako, that area. And eventually, even after that, it's supposed to go to Ala Moana. I'm making a video on that, hopefully released by next month. This station serves one place you might want to go nearby. There's Maurukai right there. Maurukai. It's a place, if you ever never been in Hawaii or you don't know, it's actually a place where they have, Japanese food, Japanese groceries. Really good place to go. Yeah. Also, seeing here, you can actually see them. That's the utility relocations right there. They're doing right now. They're actually rebuilding a lot of the sidewalk right now. One thing I really don't like about these utility relocations is that they're rebuilding the road to how it was. So if the road was like this, like these big lanes, mini lanes, they're gonna rebuild them to that again. It stinks because Skyline's supposed to come in here. This is supposed to remove those cars and de-incentivize driving. But yet they're still rebuilding the roads like that. I think just watch my next video. I'll be talking about a lot more. But yeah. This Middle Street was built I think around 10 years ago, this transit center. Yeah. And before was all warehouses. Before. And nearby there's like the Love's Bakery. That's unfortunately going to become another industrial like factory. They could have done a mixed use development, but no. I think it's because it's zoned for industrial. One day they should eventually redevelop Middle Street. But yeah. In fact, right there is the Honolulu Harbor, but unfortunately, you can't get there easily from here. That is because I'll show you something. Also, this station also has a, if you remember, different canopy. I don't know about this one. I don't like the art. I don't. It's like the least favorite of the design because I want to show you how this is the design of the art. Fun fact: the station is over water. Yeah, that's a stream right there. But I'll show you something. If we can even get back there. So you see there's like a pedestrian bridge going over Cam Highway or Dillingham Boulevard. If you look down there, that ends there. You know, this walkway ends. And I don't know if I can even get down here, but just saying, there's Nimitz Highway right there. It's impossible to get there. And right there is the Kahauiki village. Right there. That is Kahauiki village. That's that homeless village I was talking about. You can't get back there via Skyline. You have to go through Lagoon Drive, and that's actually longer distance than from here to Middle Street. In the TOD plans, they're supposed to build a bridge here, but who knows when that's going to happen. I hope it's going to be like Brightline Ave in Chira, where they're already building it just a little bit after, but we don't know. In this car, we don't even know when it's going to even happen. But just one thing to talk about. So here is Dillingham Boulevard. You can see the utility relocations, and you can see what I was saying. If they rebuild, you know, they always rebuild to whatever was before, even if it looks like this. The plan is just to do that, unfortunately. All that work, you can even see sort of how wide the road gonna be. It's gonna be really wide. So yeah. Here's the hallway, and you can go across all the Kalihi buses and even Salt Lake buses to this station. Yeah. If you try to think that Nimitz, you can cross, you cannot. You cannot cross there, even though the village is there. And I've seen people try to cross the road here. I'm not kidding. And now they're trying to fence it off, apparently. So yeah, they need to consider that. Here is the road signs. Yes, you can tell how big it is and how big the road is. But yeah, they're gonna rebuild the road to that massive like this again. So that's not good. Utilities. So construction has started on the Skyline from Iwilei to Civic Center. From there to Iwilei, they're gonna start next year, the construction. In fact, the first pillars are supposed to be built there early next year, but we don't know when that's gonna happen. We're gonna show you Middle Street. Yeah, this is literally the head where all the handy vans, the buses are. I definitely see a lot of usage because there's obviously a lot of employees that need to like drive all these handy vans, all the buses. Here is the mezzanine. I actually like the ceiling here. Kind of looks much more modern, much more smart. Designed right up here. A lot less industrial. I'm thinking the city center might be designed like this if the renders are sort of more final. The ceilings will look like this on the canopies. But yeah, also this it's a lot of concrete over here. It feels more like modern metros. Like this, like Skyline's obviously very modern. And this station is to complement Middle Street Kalihi Transit Center right here. And of course, there's two elevators here. And I think, yeah, you're gonna definitely see a lot of this in city center. A lot more. We're gonna tap out over the street. Oh my goodness. That is a lot of buses. Yes. So that's the Middle Street Station. Welcome to the already existing Middle Street Transit Center. So yeah. This is definitely like, if you remember, I was talking about Lagoon Drive and how it wasn't that designed well. This station is definitely better designed for, say, UH Manoa Express lines, that white W line, A line, than Lagoon Drive. But I think, yeah, you can definitely tell shelter is definitely way better overall. They even have seats here. Obviously, the irony is that, yeah, this is mostly now just a local stop. Yeah, it's definitely not that much people compared to Lagoon Drive earlier. So yeah, this place, yeah, I'm not kidding. This is the artwork. You know what's this is the artwork. Compare that to the other stations. I never saw the Lagoon Drive, but they have a mural. This is it. Yeah, that's its artwork, quote unquote. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. Yeah, there's also an access to Dillingham Boulevard from here. Compare that to what they're trying to do in downtown, where they're trying to build a demising wall, basically trying to wall off the station from the Fort Street, I think the plaza down there, which is kind of unfortunate if that ever happens. Then you have to walk across the road that is Nimitz Highway for a bit, and then go into downtown. This transit center was definitely built way before Skyline, and they definitely need to if you remember, I was thinking about, investing stuff before Skyline. They definitely should, especially like investments like big transit centers like this. For instance, they can, I might be talking about some of the Ala extension stuff, but for instance, they can definitely use complete streets to redo all the roads, do the utility relocations rather than try to use Hart themselves. If you ever went on Salt Lake Boulevard, they are essentially doing the same stuff as Hart is doing, expanding the road, doing utility relocations and everything. But in the end, they're going to build bike lanes. In fact, the protected one's going to be built. Compared to Hart, where they just rebuilt the road to whatever it was. Like if it was this, they're gonna rebuild it like that. Super unfortunate, but yeah, things to consider after CCGS and after if hopefully Bill 60 passes. And Hart shouldn't just be acting by itself, and also in Complete Streets are getting a lot of external funding from local, the general, DOT funding and all that. And if they choose my way, imagine part of Skylines would be built using road funding. The the roads, the utility locations will be built and designed using the road agencies. They design that. And then Hart can obviously build their guideway and stations and everything. Yeah. Maybe the road agency could even build the TPSS, which they're doing, Hart right now has to always build for this utility relocations. Yeah. I'm still spoiling a lot of Alamon extension stuff. That's kind of a benefit of you watching this stream. You get to know what I'm thinking of next. Look at that. That direction is Maokai. Here's some of the signs of Kahauiki. These are already here before you could have read it way before. Oh yeah, it's already getting a bit crowded, but this is nothing compared to the Lagoon Drive station. Yeah. Look at that. Honolulu Skyline right down there. And Skyline, eventually it's going to reach those towers in the future. Here's one of the lines, the 1L. Here's one map. This one is actually one of the rare ones where it just terminates at Civic Center. I've seen a lot of them that just go Ala Moana. Some of them I know have stickers like over this, I think. I don't know. But yeah, this is one of, I think, a later map. Obviously, we're in the airport segment, so these are a lot newer than the ones in segment 1. Some of them, I think, were printed way before when they tried to truncate the route. That's why. Look at that design. Before we go back on the train, I just want to show you, emphasize how they should use Complete Streets to rebuild the roads for Skyline. So yeah, that's true design. Yeah. Well, yeah, this portion down there is gonna look almost identical to this. Yeah, it's definitely having a lot of like ridership or something, but obviously this is Friday in rush hour. But yeah, imagine they had bike lanes or anything around here at the same time doing major investments like Skyline. It would be really nice. Yeah, this is why they should just have Complete Streets do the utility relocations and road rebuilding. Obviously, heart doesn't need to be a separate entity. It has to be treated and has to do everything on their own. Plus, that also explains all the cost overruns. All of them will be blamed on heart, and eventually, they could just have middle. If they ever do the complete streets, now they'll be blamed on the road agencies, and you all know no one's gonna bat an eye on the road agencies if they ever mess up. Yeah, I mean there are some criticisms on like there's some criticisms for some of the complete street project in Salt Lake, but I mean it's not. But still, I know the road agencies they still build faster and anyway. Yeah. And also, if any other country or even the mainland, any other city is building rapid charging, so also think about that as well. Have the road agencies, if they're doing like a complete streets or an equivalent, let them do the utility work, they do the prep work, do the road rebuilding, than just the transit agency themselves. Yeah, we're going back and we're gonna discuss. Yeah, I want to show you yeah, there's the plaque for the art. This is the art. I like it all the stages of the art, but I mean there's some detail ideas on the pattern of the floor, but this is the art. That's it. Look at the train. I'm not gonna write. I want to discuss. So yeah, in addition to this, Manoa, when they do that extension, there's already a complete streets project in the planning for that. So, and it's apparently going to be done around the time Skyline reaches Manoa. But so, I mean, at least they're learning this. At least they're doing something. But those plans are so early that there's no even mention of Skyline. Yes, there's no mention of Skyline for that University Avenue. I think they're going to change it, but as of right now, we don't know. Also, in addition to this, ironically, Hart should also fund some. Hart would still fund part of this complete street project. Hart will, yeah, will still fund it, but it will sort of be portioned. So Hart will fund most likely a big portion of it, but and then the road agencies will fund a portion of it too. And all the cost overruns can be just transferred to the road agencies, maybe. And also, Funeral Road, there's the bicycle rack there. For Middle Street, I don't know about that. Nice shelter though, but the bikes are not in the shelter. So this platform is going to be open to riders. This platform here, the westbound platforms. The other one is going to be storage until they start testing CCGS. Or they're probably going to do something similar to what they did, from when they start testing to now for this section of rail. They're probably going to do something like that. They're going to open up that side. I'm wondering if that side actually has signage for CCGS. Like the line goes all the way to Civic Center. I don't know. There's a Skyline train just stored here. Oh, unfortunately, they just use these same signs here. So, ironically, that side, when they finally start open, they'll have to change it. I looked at there. There was the other sign. Recently, Kahaiki, this Civic Center station has gotten renders, and they're gonna actually add a nice plaza with palm trees in there. Kind of probably gonna be like Lagoon Drive, but it's like a park plaza right there. We don't know how downtown is gonna be because I heard, you know, those property owners are still, in part, is still feuding on the designs. And we don't hope that they don't end up going with the wall from the nice plaza because yeah. An irony is that they might say they might have crime, but you know what does it bring crime? All stations will have this. So I don't know what they're thinking. All stations will have this. Surveillance cameras. All stations have guards. All of them. I don't know. It's kind of unfortunate. Like, why those downtown businesses have to act like that? I'm wondering, I'm thinking that it was just because of stereotypes. These people are probably boomers and, like they lived in the 70s and they seen the NY subway or something like that. They probably just, yeah, it's probably just those stereotypes, I hope. Obviously, makes sense. Look at that. Before Skyline, your bus had to get stuck in that traffic, right? The old U line had to go through that viaduct, the old U line. It's no more. No more being in there. This station also serves Schofield. Yeah, this station also serves the military base over there at that's the military base over there, and unfortunately, it's kind of hard to get there. Kind of walk away. I think you have to ride a bus. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more. Some military personnel gonna come here. But yeah, this is the view. And here's the stream. Hopefully, one day they get to redevelop this site and build condos over this. I mean, Markai might not be here for long, but just saying. It's zoned for industrial, some of those areas. If you remember, I was talking about the city. Even if Skyline doesn't go Ala Moana, going there, that area, yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. Even if it doesn't go Ala Moana Center, just going into that city, like Honolulu's downtown, is great. It's gonna happen in 2031. And I hope Bill 60 passes because, yeah, if you saw, the U line was popular, and yeah, even with bendy buses, it's still no good in the long run, because eventually, yeah, eventually, yeah, Skyline should go to Manoa. And also, I heard about that Skyline's also planning to go beyond East Kapolei to Kapolei Commons and maybe even Ko'olina, possibly following one of my YouTube videos a bit. Looks like our train is coming soon. Yep, here comes our train as we're gonna be going back to Aloha Stadium. And we're gonna be talking about Skyline some more. Also, Skyline is right near the ocean. I can't wait for the Chinatown station. Literally put it, it's like next to the ocean when that thing opens. It's gonna be amazing. When coming out the station. Hello. Hi. Girls coming out. See a lot of people here. I like it, seeing Skyline crowded finally. But look how much more people there are. So much better than riding that bus, even the bendy buses. So,
Please hold on.
if you came this far, maybe watch the whole stream before like watching. So obviously,
Doors will open on the right
so this
side.
extension was pretty important, in my opinion. It's definitely has gained way more ridership than before. Yeah, there's a lot more riders than when it was going to Aloha Stadium. I kind of like it. It also, made it way faster to say get to the airport or even just go through this area. As no more people risk of delays due to like someone putting their baggage in like Terminal 1 bus stop or in the next the Terminal 2 bus stop, and then holding up everybody instead of just one seat, like much more centralized.
Please hold on. It's
It's really good.
Aloha Lagoon Drive.
It's also very easy to say put luggage on the trains compared to the bus. This is also way less claustrophobic than trying to like ride the bus. Definitely, much more bigger, much more better. We also have brand new bus lines like the U line, which will be game changer for UH1 students living in Neva. I'll be one of them in the future. It has been a game changer by stopping here. Unfortunately, I have some critiques. Like, first of all, they should have added more regional buses from Lagoon Drive to like Salt Lake or even Tripler. they should have like because the bus is like you have to go to Middle Street in order to get to like Mapuna Puna.
Doors are closing. Please hold on. The next stop is Aloha Stadium.
Also, like these destinations, there's a lot of workers, like the airport in Pearl Harbor, and I remember, Pearl Harbor just gets super crowded after, like work. That locals tend to avoid the area. Now, a lot less cars. There should be a lot less cars. And probably more incentive because the military suburbs are pretty walkable. They might look like one of those very bad suburbs, but they have paths. You should go and look on Google Maps for that. And that base is pretty important as like a lot of the various fleets for the U.S. military are based in Pearl Harbor. The major shipyard also controls a lot of it. And in a world where like we need to defend against China or Russia, Pearl Harbor is very important for that. And I mean, probably going to get a lot of employees in there. And maybe a lot less people bringing their cars from the mainland. Yeah, people bring cars here from the mainland and it's often free. Now with Skyline, a lot of people will be less incentivized to do that due to this. And obviously that means less cars on the island. And hopefully one day, you see that rental car facility, a lot less people will be renting cars from there for as tourists. One day.
Please hold on.
2031 maybe, or now.
International Airport.
The next video on Planet Transit should be Ala Moana Extension. I was supposed to have done the North Shore video, but since the 2050 plan, a lot of stuff needs to be changed. I still am gonna propose my version of the line, but I'll still have to mention that too. I'll still also dedicate it to doing videos on Maui and the Big Islands. And even Kauai, I'm proposing something, but we'll see.
The next stop is Makalapa, Joint Base Pearl Harbor Vicom Station. Doors will open on the right side.
Speaking of the military, I think they should have built like more of those like condos or hotels. You see those towers there. I hope they do that near the rail station.
Please hold on. The next stop is Makalapa,
We don't know,
Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam.
knowing our current administration. And that for the military, I never seen them build a mixed-use project, but hopefully this could be a lot of firsts.
Arriving at Makalapa, Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam Station. Doors will open on the right side.
Look at how much people are on the train. Note this is not like Saturday or Sunday.
Please stand back. Doors are closing. Please hold on. The next stop is Aloha Stadium Station. Doors will open on the right side.
You see what will be near the station is like, yeah, it's like a submarine training center. You see all these barracks. You see those types of barracks right there? That's what they're supposed to be building near the Skyline. That is like accepted really good density. It's actually a lot of density around the Skyline station. Some of those are hotels and some of those are barracks. It's nice to see that there's like a lot of density already there. Hopefully they can recreate that on Middle Makalapa. I'll show you something. This is the headquarters for the Pacific Fleet. And this is Halama View Apartments, a TOD project. Or Halama View Apartments 2 or Naulu. Eventually they're also supposed to redevelop, these beige homes as Waimomi. Unfortunately, no renderings, nothing came out, but I think they're going to do that soon. Aloha Stadium is already starting.
The next stop is Aloha Stadium.
And obviously Aloha Stadium is going to get its redevelopment. It's nice. So thank you for watching another stream of Planet Transit. My next video will be discussing the Ala Moana extension. I'll also discuss on Instagram as well regularly. Thank you for watching this stream. Stream will end very shortly. Thank you.
Please